ごめんね素直じゃなくて夢の中なら言える思考回路はショート寸前今すぐ会いたいよ泣きたくなるよなムーンライト電話もできないみんなだって純情どうしようハートは万華鏡月の光に導かれ何度も巡り合う星座の瞬き数え占う恋の行方同じ国に生まれたのミラクルロマンスもう一度二人でウィーケンド神様叶えてハッピーエンド現在過去未来をあなたに首だけ出会った時の懐かしい眼差し忘れない幾千万の星からあなたを見つけられる偶然もチャンスに変える生き方が好きよ不思議な奇跡クロスして何度も巡り合う星座の瞬き数え占う恋の行方同じ国に生まれたのミラクルロマンス信じているのミラクルロマンス
Hey guys, welcome to the first ever podcast of Moonie Thoughts. This is really exciting and let's introduce ourselves, shall we?
Alright.
So, of course, I'm hellenjane. I'm Jose, the head honcho of Gabasa Productions. I saw the anime the first, basically when I was around 3-4 years old, and through that I was introduced to other animes. And fun fact, if it wasn't for Sera Myu, I wasn't being able to get into Pokemon, because when I thought Pokemon was there, Sera Myu, I'd started watching Pokemon. So how ironic is that?
Well, there you go.
Yeah. My first favorite scout is, it has to be Sera Myu, because she's a badass.
Mhm.
I mean,
Definitely.
yep, firepower. But personality-wise, I'm more like Izaki or Sera Myu, because I am a klutz and I can forget things, and yeah. Something random. Let's see. I actually have 2 cats of my own. One of them I named the productions after. So now it's time to introduce to my co-host.
Alright, hi. My name is Katie. I am from the US. I am the newest member of Gabatha Productions, so I'm still figuring everything out. when I first saw the anime when I was about 5 or 6 years old, my very first exposure to it was my mom got a few dolls, and I, read the information on the back of the dolls, and I thought they sounded fun, and then we just happened to be shopping, and I saw a videotape of the first 2 episodes, so I got that, and I was hooked. And I've been a Moonie ever since then. And much like Helen, Sailor Moon was my gateway drug. That was the first anime I really got into, and it sort of led the way for all of the others. My favorite scout is also Sailor Mars, always has been. I think it started because she was the red one, and my favorite color is red, and she's the fire one, and fire is my favorite of the traditional elements. But I like her personality. I like that she's strong and independent, so I really love Mars. The one I'm most like personality-wise, that one's hard. I might kind of be more like Amy in some ways, because I'm kind of more subdued, at least most of the time. Sometimes I'm kind of a Usagi, because with more around friends, when I'm, being klutzy and insane. And, something random. I think I am the only international member of hellenjane, because I am in the US. And that's about it for me.
Okay, so how this podcast is going to work is it's going to come out each month. And each month we'll have some topics to talk about that we already planned. Like, for example, hello there. Yeah, my cat decided to say hello.
Yeah.
So had to be careful because we are new to this and we're still finding our feet. So,
yeah, there's bound to be interruptions from family and cats, but we'll work it all out.
Yeah. Some of the topics we already planned is transformations, about the difference between the one that we all know and love and the CGI. And what else did you pitch?
We're gonna just a lot of what we're going to talk about, especially while Sailor Moon Crystal is running, is comparisons between Crystal and the original anime and between Crystal and the manga. So there'll be a lot of discussion of what's different, what's entirely new, what stayed the same, what was in the manga but not the anime that they've reintroduced this time around. So there'll be a lot of that during Crystal's run. And since we're doing it every month, we'll have about 2 new episodes. Except for this one, we have 5. But every month we'll have about 2 new episodes to cover.
That's completely right. Sadly, when we had this up, we'd be missing Sailor Venus's transformation. So...
Yes, as of right now, we only have the first 4. We're still of the inner senshi, at least. We're still missing 1.
Yep. So this is going to be very, very interesting. While this is on YouTube, not on iTunes at this stage, is because we had a look at how to get it onto iTunes, but it broke our minds.
Yeah, that's you have to have a place to host your files for the MP3 and connect it to the iTunes library. And like Helen mentioned earlier, we're very new, so we're kind of taking the simpler route for now. We'll see how things progress.
Alright, so we better get started. The first podcast topic is about Sailor Moon Crystal as a whole, since we are up to... By the time that... I can't remember what Ekman will be up to when this is out. But
when this actually comes out, I think we'll be on episode 6. It's the 4th. I think the day this comes out will be the day episode 6 airs, because it'll come out on the 4th.
I think episode 6 at the time of recording is this Sunday.
Oh, yes. Yes, it is. Okay, 7. Episode 7, then.
Yeah. That's
Sorry,
right.
I got
Yeah.
my days mixed up.
Yeah. So by the time we get the second one out, it's gonna be up to, I think, Princess if we follow the manga. So even though it's like the first 5, we got all the senshis, well, nearly all the senshis out. They introduce all the guardians, and basically most of the main characters of the first part of the saga.
Yeah. Yes, most of the main players for the first arc are here. We're really only missing Artemis and Minako, but we've seen all the generals. We've seen Beryl. We haven't seen Metalia. So those are the 3 main ones we haven't seen yet.
We have seen glimpses of Endymion and Princess Serenity, as well as what Queen Serenity might look like.
Yeah.
Who knows if they decide to keep her light blonde or go back to the silver.
I believe I know I can picture the scene in my mind. I think it's during the opening. You see a quick glimpse of Queen Serenity.
Yeah.
But the lighting is kind of off, so it's hard to tell her exact color.
Yeah, so what's your first reaction to the reboot?
Well, when I first heard about it, I was really excited. I was very anxious as to what they were going to do, if they were going to take a similar approach that they did with the first anime and kind of, deviate from the manga again and do their own thing, or if they were going to stick closer to the manga. And as more information came out, I just thought, this sounds really cool. And of course, I love the first anime. I always will. But I was really looking forward to this new interpretation of the story. And I know once the concept art hit, a lot of people started showing doubts about, they didn't like the art, they thought the anatomy was off, they thought it looked kind of lazy. And but I was still really excited. I thought they looked cute. I was good to go. I thought the little differences that they did change to the Scout's transformations, like Mars not having her brooch, or not brooch, but the little gem thing that she has, and Jupiter not having her belt. I thought, that's one little deviation from the manga, but overall, I was really excited, and as episodes come out, I'm really pleased. I think they're doing a really great job with telling the story from the manga, but still making it fresh and interesting, so it's not a total rehash of stuff we already know. I think they're doing really well. So what's your opinion?
When I heard that there was going to be a reboot, like you, I was excited because it's like childhood. There has been, this is before discussion about the anime, the reboot. They had kind of like a presentation kind of thing with the voice actress of Yusaki, and I think the first one for Tuxedo come in, for the ones who have no idea who we're talking about. Yusaki is basically Serena in English, and and Tuxedo come in is Tuxedo Mask.
Yeah, that is something we should address. I believe that we will be using the Japanese names for this podcast.
That's right.
Alright, so just so everyone is aware, in case you grew up with the American dub, which, no shame in that, so did I.
Same here.
Usagi is Serena, or Usagi technically, but that's Serena. Amy is still Amy, Ray is still Ray, those two are easy. Makoto, it would be known as Lita. Minako would be known as Mina, so that one's still pretty easy. And Mamoru would be Darien.
Yeah, or I can't pronounce it straight off the top of my head, I'm sorry. Yeah. Before we carry on, I forgot to mention that sometimes I can, as you notice in some of my videos, really take a long time to get a thought out. So these are long period of silence. So if you see that coming through the podcast, I really apologize. That's how I am, and yeah. So anyway, back to
I don't think it'll be too much of a problem.
yeah. Anyway, back to my thoughts. When I saw the concept art, well, when the artwork came out, I absolutely fell in love. I mean,
Yeah.
even though the first anime adaptation was like this elementary school, technically, but this show, the new reboot showed they're more like high school level, and that's basically over here in New Zealand. It will be around year 9 and 10, so that's basically high school level, which I think is really, really cool. I was absolutely surprised that they put in the bout for Sailor Venus, which was very interesting. But we will talk more about that a little later. But when the opening came out, well, not the technical opening, it was Warrior Woman Z, I think it was. Everyone thought it would be like the official opening. Then when the first ad came out, or trailer, it was from Moriko Z, I think it is, by memory.
I think it's Morimo.
Yeah, Morimo Z, or something like that, anyway. That was announced that they were doing the opening and ending. And I was talking to Katie earlier when they came out, and they did a cover of the original opening. And
yeah, I was kind of behind. I didn't know that they weren't using that Moonlight Densetsu cover until I was watching the first episode, and I was like, oh, this isn't Moonlight Densetsu.
But they did the cover for the 20th anniversary album that they released this year.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Which I think is really cool that they put that out. To say that even though we'd have a reboot, we still have the classic Japanese songs. And here's a little fun fact. For the album, you'll be able to listen to the French opening.
Oh, well, that's cool.
Yeah. So it had a bit of dash international. When I started to watch the anime, the reboot anime, which we're going to touch on a little later, is the score was really, really amazing. Something that we're going to touch on next time is that for the transformations, they use CGI. And I thought it was a really, really cool way to jazz it up a bit. So let's do a bit of comparisons now. First off, we're going to do the anime one.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the differences between the original anime and Sailor Moon Crystal.
That's right. The first thing that is said separately from the anime, the two anime, is the storyline, how it started off with Endymion and Princess Serenity trying to come together.
Yeah, that dream sequence.
Yeah, that was really, really cool, and you hardly see that kind of thing these days.
Well, it definitely sort of kicked off the whole Moon Princess, Moon Kingdom thing earlier than the original anime did.
Yeah,
it was a while before you got more into the mythology in that anime, but in this one, they're really picking things up, keeping it moving along.
Yeah, and people believe that in the first episode, in the first sequence, that there was a flash of the Moon Kingdom. Not the Moon Kingdom, the Earth Kingdom, which was really rare to see in the classic anime.
Mm-hmm.
Which is always something that no one ever expected. I didn't even expect that. But
I think you didn't even get very many looks at the Earth Kingdom in the manga.
no.
I can only think of one scene where aside from maybe like a long shot of Earth itself, but I can only think of maybe one scene that's made, 2 or 3 panels that takes place on Earth. Or on the Earth Kingdom.
A couple anyway, because I remember reading, which I'm probably going to go back to a little later, is that Sailor Venus went down to get Princess Serenity.
Mm-hmm. I think that's what I'm thinking of too.
So like that, snuck down, she snuck it down again, brought her back. Mm-hmm. Yusagi said, "You don't know how I feel," runs off and leave her alone thinking, "But I know how you feel," because she fell in love with one of the generals.
Mm-hmm.
Which was really, really surprising how they went back to one of the connections that they really ever shown.
Mm-hmm. Which I think is also something we're going to get to.
Yeah.
I really liked how after the dream sequence ends and she wakes up, one of the very first shots of the original manga, or of the original anime, was her running down the stairs and her mom is yelling at her to wake up, and they recreated that shot in the new anime, and then they added to it by, as she's running down the stairs, she falls over, and it's very Usagi, and it was a good callback to the original anime while still adding in something new, so it wasn't exactly the same. Yeah. I appreciated that.
Yeah, and also introducing the comedic side automatically.
Mm-hmm.
Because
there is not reused stock animation for their attacks this time around. Each attack has a different animation. It's more it's less traditional magical girl and more real time.
Yeah, that is really, really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, usually for the the first I can't remember what the first attack was for Mars, but it changed.
Let me check really quick.
Yeah.
I think it was Fire Soul.
I think it was, Fire Soul. And the dialogue changed by using one of the protective charm paper.
Yeah. That's what I have with me right now, my first volume of the Kodansha Sailor Moon print, and here she just says "evil spirit be exorcised," which I know has like an actual wording in Japanese. It's like something Taisan, Nihai Taisan, or something close to that. I'm butchering it, I know. But that she uses that attack a lot, and that and Fire Soul.
Man, and just quickly look up her text if it lets me. Looking at the Sailor Moon wiki, and they do have the updated ones with the second anime, which is Crystal. Either Arigato Talisman or Fire Soul.
Yeah.
That's the first one for the anime. And for the second one.
But I think it's really cool because without the stock animations, you can see better what their attacks are actually doing, instead of, just sort of a generic black background or colored background and then the enemy solves or whatever. You can see the effect it has on the environment and what specifically it does to the target. So I think that's pretty interesting.
Okay, the first attack for her second, for the crystal reactment is Akuyo Talisman, which is really, really interesting. How she used it the first time, which we're going to touch on a bit later. Oh yeah, that's right. They have changed Marumu's outfits for the first half. Yeah.
His classic weird daytime tuxedo is back.
You got that right. Then after that, it was his school uniform. Which is
he doesn't have his black turtleneck and green jacket and gray pants in this one. It's his school uniform and his afternoon tuxedo.
Yeah, and glasses. Which is really, really interesting.
I believe he had glasses in the manga, so that wasn't entirely unexpected. But
yeah,
he's not quite the early 90s fashion plate that he was in the first anime.
Yeah, the generals.
Yes, the generals.
Yeah.
So far, my main thing, the big changes in the generals, is that and this is, it's a comparison between the manga as well, but they're not dying. That's in the manga, they're killed off pretty quick, and in the anime, so far at this general point in the story, both Jadeite and Nephrite were dead. They'd been killed, but they're still going in this version. So I'm kind of wondering where they're heading with that, what they're going to do with the generals, now that they're still alive.
Yeah, unless they want to introduce all of them first, then start to kill them off. Because what I noticed as well, that when Jadeite was supposed to be killed with the tiara and the fire, he ended up having his shoulder hurt. And Nephrite, which I'm looking at now, is still his brown hair. He was supposed to be destroyed in the Masquerade episode, but he's not there anymore. But he's still there.
Yeah.
And their coloured outfits has changed as well.
Was it the Masquerade?
I think it was. Oh, hang on. It was when Jupiter came along. That's right.
Yeah, it
Jupiter.
was this past episode.
Yeah.
If they'd been following the manga more closely, he would have been killed by Sailor Jupiter, but he's still going.
Yeah. Yeah, they have...
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. They actually have changed the colour of their general outfits.
Yeah, they've made it a little differences to the outfits.
Yeah. Like, originally it was dark grey and I think it was black? Can't remember. It was black. But, now it's like white, look like a light greyish white and red.
I believe originally the trim on each of their uniforms was a different color.
Yeah,
but
that's right.
I think you're right, they all have red.
Yeah.
Now. But something that's different from the anime but is similar to the manga that they've been introducing is the generals having recollections of the Senshi, because according to Naoko Takeuchi, I don't recall it ever. Well, it was hinted at in manga, but especially in one of the pictures in one of the art books, the four generals and the four inner senshi were all coupled together, and you saw that in the manga after Jadeite kidnapped Rei.
There was also in the manga, in the second anime as well. If you
yeah,
ever noticed,
they added that to the second anime where he kind of remembers, being attracted to her, and that something is familiar about her, and something that I don't, as far as I can tell, wasn't even in the manga, but something I noticed in the anime episode is Nephrite saying he can kind of remember Sailor Jupiter, that she looks familiar.
Yeah. And it was Zoiside who has gone back to the original manga. Because if you know, in the first anime, he looked like he has light brown dark hair. Or she, if you're following the American dub.
And anyone who has only seen the American dub, Zoiside's actually a guy. They changed that for the American dub to make the relationship with who is in the American dub. He's called Malachite. They changed it.
Last quick side note. They also changed the relationship between two of the other senshis as well. Because they were two of them supposed to be lesbians, but they changed it, so of course again
right. Once again, if you've only seen the American dub and you only know of Sailor Uranus and Sailor Neptune as cousins, they're not cousins. They're girlfriends. They're gay. There was a lot of gay in the show that was cut out of the American dub. Yeah. I'm pretty sure most people who listen to this are going to be aware of these things, so they're not going to be big revelations, but just in case, so no one gets confused.
Yeah.
So you know.
But I'm actually quite surprised that they changed his Zoiside's hair back to the original blonde. Because
I think I think a lot of it has to do. I've noticed the colors in Sailor Moon Crystal so far have been a bit more muted on the softer side, whereas in the original anime they were very bright. I think that hair color kind of fits more with the tone of the show. Yeah. The color tone of the show, that is.
Yeah, what I also realized that they don't call the four generals anymore in Crystal. They call Queen Beryl calls them kings.
They were known as the Four Kings of Heaven, and because they actually were kings who ruled over various areas of Earth under Endymion. I believe Jadeite ruled over Europe, Kunzite ruled over the Middle East, Zoisite ruled over the Far East, and Nephrite ruled over the North America, South America region. They were kings, so they were the Four Kings of Heaven. And, I don't believe that has been referenced yet.
Not that much as I know of, but I remember in the manga, so I'm just saying that to point it out for a future episode if it comes up, that they got reincarnated. This is how the remaining one remembered. They got reincarnated to find Momaru or Endymion, but instead found Beryl, which ended up altering their body, changing their bodies to serve under her. And for one of them, I think it was Malachite, It was the last one anyway. No matter how many times he reincarnates, he belongs to Queen Beryl. Which I think is really, really sad.
Yeah.
But in PGSM, or the live action version, just to put another comparison in, they didn't do that at all. When in a desert, Princess Serenity and Endymion ended up getting married, then died. The whole world came back. And there was this scene. Yusaki and Motomu was still there. I woke up, and basically they have, well, quote unquote, died. That's how I see it. There's like Princess Serenity say, "Thank you for your help. So the crystal is destroyed. I am free. You can go and live your own life." Yusaki did not want to leave without Motomu. Then later on, like a few minutes later, there was all the generals. They all look different than what the anime and manga. Well, two of them anyway look different.
Yeah, I have not watched PGSM in a long time, so
yeah, I definitely remember that scene anyway. And there was this portrait of Edemion, and they told him, addressed him as master, and said that they are now I lost it. Hang on. This one. That Motomu is also free and he can go back and live. And act. Well, they have 3 special acts. The third special act is when an old enemy came back. Whatever. That the generals, 4 clowns ended up disguised as generals. Later on, the real generals came to, I think, Motomu's rescue. Then it shows that the real identity of the clowns. So each PGSM, they told a different story altogether. Still the exact same characters, but still different kind of storyline.
Yeah.
Even there's Dark Mercury, and some fans wanted Dark Mercury in Crystal.
I do remember that. So PGSM had a lot of its own stuff.
Yeah. Another thing that I noticed, even though we've flown into the manga between the anime and the manga, there has been a different reaction to Bori. Yusaki's mother in the manga called Luna Bori because of the crescent moon. And in the manga, she scratches her. And Yusaki said, something line said, "Don't call Bori, she doesn't like that." And the crystal, I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, that's, I don't think you've seen Luna interacting with her family at all yet, Crystal.
No. And also what we realized, which I think is like a good reference back to the classic anime, is that there was no glasses for Yusaki. Because
that's true.
Yeah, because in the original, it was she had glasses for, I think, the first 4 or 5 acts. Then it was...
Let's see.
Well, I know it was the first couple of acts anyway.
It looks like I'm looking at Act 2 right now, and no, she ditched the glasses after the first time. You see it in some of the art book illustrations, and she has them in the very first act as her first transformation, but after that, there's no more of those goggles like Sailor V had.
Moon? You mean Sailor V?
Well, I mean, Sailor V had goggles, and then
and she
Sailor Moon had some similar to that, but after the first act, they're gone.
Yeah, even if she transformed with them, she ditched them automatically. Because the only thing, the only thing that helped her was I can't remember her Japanese name, but it was Molly.
Naru is her Japanese name.
Yeah.
Naru, Naru.
Yeah, Naru. And that's about it.
Yeah, they helped her find Naru, and that was it. That's all they ever did. So you can see they just didn't add them at all in the Sailor Moon Crystal. They just skipped them.
Yeah.
But they did give her back her winged hair clips that in the original anime didn't make their reappearance until an extra transformation or two in.
Yeah, and I think by memory in Act 2 they were used as darts. I think.
Were they?
I remember that one of the acts she used them as darts.
Let's see.
So I remember that they were originally used as darts, but after how many?
Oh yeah, you're right. Act 2, she uses them to pin the Yoma's paper dart dagger things.
Yeah.
And pins them against the wall as a deflection attack.
Which is really, really interesting. We're going to have a break now so we can catch up on our breath. So, enjoy... If I can get it up. Enjoy the song I Want to Be a Star from Jennifer Taichi. I think it's Taichi. Anyway, she's the one who sung the Japanese version for I Want to Be, English, Yusaki, sorry. That means I Want to Be a Star, Nothing at All, Power of Love, and I think there was one everyone loved. That's right, and the most popular one, My Only Love. So sit back, relax, and...
That was my jam. All right.
And...
we will see you guys again after the break.
Okay. See you soon.
Wanna be a star. Each night I sit and dream of the stars I see in magazines. I'd love to lose myself in the stories of the lives they lead. Yeah, why can't I be like them, living life with fortune and fame? I know I've got what it takes. I've just gotta start on my way. I wanna be a star, star, star. Gonna have my name up in lights. I wanna be a star, star, star. I'm gonna blaze across the sky like a meteorite. My fans will truly adore me every time I dance and sing my songs. I'll ride in a big fancy car and take all my friends along. Yeah, around the world I'll go, giving shows from east to west with my Sailor Scouts. Every night I'll step on the stage, the crowd will scream, I'm the best. I wanna be a star, star, star. Gonna be the best in the world. I wanna be a star, star, star. I'm gonna be the absolutely most famous teenage girl. I wanna be a star, star. I
And we're back. Now, continuing on with the topic of seeing Crystal as a whole, we are now going to talk about the music side of it.
Which is very important. So the new opening, of course, is Moon Pride by Morimozi Clover. Is that I'm confused about the name.
But it's very from them anyway. And of course, don't forget about the classic opening.
Yeah, so I will admit that when I realized that while I was watching it that they were not using Moonlight Densetsu, I was kind of disappointed because I've been all geared up for it, but that only lasted for a few seconds because Moon Pride is high energy. It captures the spirit of all of the scouts and what the story is about, and the animation bit that they do for the opening. It's when they're all showing off their attacks and that huge field of flowers before the moon, and I think I love it. I love Moon Pride.
Yeah, and I can't remember the name of those flowers, but they bloom annually. And it's actually a real flower.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. I can't remember the name of it though, but it's sort of like annual bloom, and I think it looks more. I can't remember the backstory, but it blooms annually in Japan, which I think is bringing part of the culture into the reboot, which I think is really, really good. And having all 5 in the opening sequence, which it took, with the classic, took about 3 openings to get all the 5 CGs in, including the cats.
Because the first season of the original anime was close to like 48 episodes long, somewhere around there. Yeah. It took them a long time to get to the point where they were all there to begin with.
Yeah, and they had 2 separate openings. Have you ever realized that the opening that we use, which is going to be stuck, is the classic original anime song opening? And we're going to use, at the end, Princess Moon.
Which is one of the, I think it's the 3rd or 4th ending of the original anime?
Well, something like that anyway. 2nd or 3rd.
Yeah, it's closer. It's 2nd or 3rd.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's not the 1st, though.
No, it's not the 1st. There has been some covers of the endings in the tribute album. And for Princess Moon, it's much more slower and beautiful, when the classic one is more upbeat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Apparently enough, Morimozi Clover also did the ending.
Yes, Moonbow.
Yeah, it's sad how, like, the lyrics are, because they show the crystal on, I think, like, Hulu, I can't remember, like, Hulu and Neon Alley, but they also do it on Nico Donga, I think I pronounce it.
Nico Doga?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also Crunchyroll. And each one has, of course, subbed, including the opening and ending. The opening show capture the essence, because I love the line. I love the. You go first. Sorry.
Alright. The lyrics are about, girl power. We don't need a man to save us.
Yeah.
Stuff, and that's Sailor Moon. That's a big part of Sailor Moon.
Yeah, and the first verse connects to each. Well, the first part of the first verse capture each of the other senshi.
Yeah.
Because there's like water, then fire. But I'm surprised that they did love then lightning was supposed to be lightning and love.
Oh, I guess it
But yeah,
makes more sense grammatically.
yeah, to make it.
And also, it has been a long time since I took Japanese classes, but it might be that in the Japanese syntax of the sentence, that part of the sentence does come first, but when you translate it into English to make it sound right, you have to switch them around.
Yeah. And it's really, really cool how it's portrayed like that, though.
I'm looking up the lyrics now, so
That's what the
know
tapping
what we're
was for, ladies and gentlemen. That was a tapping for.
yeah, that was my thunder typing.
Yeah, I apologize if you hear rain in the moment. It is spring over here in New Zealand, and it's still in between winter and spring weather, so bear with us with the background noise.
Yeah, according to the translation on the Sailor Moon wiki, the lyrics are, "Tears run down my face, my eyes burn fiery red, fierce as lightning, someone cries for love," which is in the order of Mercury, Mars, Jupiter, Venus. But in the subtitles I've been watching it on Hulu, it's more along, it says something like, someone cries love out loud like a strike of lightning. So
Yeah,
it switches
that's
it around a little bit.
Yeah, which I think is really cool how they capture also the essence of the other soldiers than just focusing on Yusaki. Which is really, really cool.
I really appreciated that.
Yeah.
And I love the part where they're doing all their attacks. That part is really cool.
If some of you guys didn't know, after Act 2, the full opening of Moon Pride came out after a few minutes when it finished.
Yeah.
Which I think is really rare to see that in an anime, but to capture the essence after seeing the first two, it's like, what the heck? We show what it would have been like in the final moments of the Moon Kingdom.
Yeah, that broke my heart, where it shows all of the Senshi when they're fallen, and
yeah, and
thinking of the old Moon Kingdom always makes me sad.
Yeah.
So whenever they show parts like that, it makes me sad.
Yeah, and you don't see that really in the classic anime. All you see is like a final battle.
You see a lot of Serena or
Yusaki,
Princess Serenity,
yeah,
and Endymion, but you don't see a lot of anything that's going on around them. It's just kind of focused on those two, except for
Venus.
In the end of the first season, when it's giving the backstory of the Moon Kingdom, it shows more. But that's a lot of it's really focused on Princess Serenity and Endymion, and not the other scouts or even just the environment.
Yeah. And what I also noticed in the music clip, they don't show Venus falling down. It's like in a background looking away.
Yeah. She's still, looking forlorn, looking sad, looking like, they're defeated.
Yeah. So
it's still getting the point across.
Yeah.
But, kind of off topic, but along the lines of seeing the destruction of the Moon Kingdom, I also have the 2 volumes of the Sailor V manga that Kodansha put out. And in the final chapter of Sailor V, when she fully regains her memories, you see the palace, the Moon Palace, crumbling, and her trying to get people out and rescue Princess Serenity. And so that's another, if you want to find a place that has even just any glimpse of the destruction of the Moon Kingdom, check out the last chapter of Sailor V, because it's got it.
Yeah, and it's really sad, still on those lines, that quick spoil, this is a bit of a spoiler if you haven't read it, is that the guy that Sailor V was facing, he said that she can never love someone. I mean, she can fall in love, but she cannot get married. She can't have that relationship that she always wanted.
Exactly.
And which also is sad as well. They're probably connected to how, even though they're in the manga all princesses of their own planets, but they're still part of the future Queen Serenity's court.
It's something that is brought up sometimes from them is that, whatever life they have, whatever people they're interested in, everything has to come second to protecting the princess.
Yeah. Which is also really, really...
I think Sailor V should just be a topic we should do, because I have a lot to say about Sailor V.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be talking about music. So...
Okay, we better get back on track.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yes, Moon Pride. We both like it. It's great.
Yeah.
Moon Bow. Call me a heathen if you will. There weren't many ending songs from the original anime that I really liked that much. None of them really got, but I really like Moon Bow. I think the scene between Princess Serenity and Endymion and the lyrics, the kind of, sadly sweet lyrics that foreshadow their story.
Yeah.
I really like Moonbow.
Yeah. I still have to listen to the full version of it. I think it's
Yes,
out.
I've only heard the ending.
Yeah. I think it's out by now. No matter how many times they're trying to get rid of off the internet, it will still creep back on, so... yeah, but it's kind of it's something that you don't really expect how it's connected. It's like the whole new reboot as a whole, they just put out surprises right left, right, and center. I mean, instead of adding Yusaki's first drink, they added that she was really tired. But still tied in with her first kiss.
I think a lot. I mean, even more than in the original anime, it took quite a few episodes for the whole Moon Kingdom, finding the Moon Princess, what's going on with the legendary Silver Crystal to really start picking up. And in the manga, of course, it went a lot faster. But I think that Sailor Moon Crystal is introducing these plot lines even faster and really hammering in early on the relationship between Usagi and Mamoru, and that everyone is from the Moon Kingdom, and with the little flashes of the Moon Palace that each senshi gets when they first meet Usagi. I think it's moving even faster than the manga did in terms of introducing that plot and sort of foreshadowing what's going on.
Yeah, one other thing that I like is the composer.
Yes.
Yeah, some of you guys probably heard this one before. If you guys haven't realized it, that is Yusaki's Mutiara Boomerang back score.
Yes. And
what?
The score, the score, the in-anime score for the new anime, once again, I sound like a broken record, but I love it. I think it's dramatic. It's got that choral element, choral, whatever the word is. I can't think. But the choir background singing, I think it's properly dramatic and bombastic, and I love it. I think for big flashy attacks, it's perfect.
Yeah, and the one who did the score actually did the whole lot. But some of you guys probably like figuring, that sounds kind of familiar. Well, does this sound familiar? sounds familiar?
Yeah, that it sounds a lot like it is in the style of the Moon Tiara Boomerang.
Kinda. It's from a composer called, correct me if I got the pronunciation wrong, but it's Yasuharu Takanashi. He did some of other animes. The Precure series he did a bit of, but then from by memory, Heart Catch to Doki Doki, I think. I really need to double check on that. But you probably notice he did other stuff as well related to anime. So using that, bringing that kind of essence of his style, and is really, really amazing.
I was gonna say, yeah. I don't know. But when you showed me the clips of his compositions for the show, I was like, wow, this does sound a lot like the music in Sailor Moon Crystal. So you can definitely tell it's the same guy.
Okay. Now we're actually going to go into another break. So enjoy the cover of one of the insert songs and one of the most popular songs in the musicals, La Soldier, which is a cover by Tommy Heavenly Six, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. And it's from the recent Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon tribute album. So enjoy.
Hi guys, this is Katie. Due to a copyright claim from King Records, we had to remove the La Soldier cover from the podcast, so I'm sorry, but it will not be here. In the future, we'll try to use music that avoids that. I'm sorry again, I hope you enjoy the rest of Moonie Thoughts.
And we're back.
Welcome back.
So, we're gonna move on to the regular segments on the show. We have 3. This is the first of them that we would like to call Merch of the Week. Well, Merch of the Podcast, to be much more precise.
Yeah.
How this works is that we randomly each time choose part of the merchandise of the Sailor Moon universe, with like a little bit about it, and where to look for it. All of this you can find on moonkitty.net, which is a universe for Sailor Moon fans like you guys. So, since it's fitting that this is the first podcast of this series, it is, in fact, the first generation Japanese manga.
Being the first print, it was collected from the acts that were printed in the magazine that Sailor Moon regularly ran in.
And in the last chapter, Naoko Takeuchi, I think pronounced it.
Naoko Takeuchi.
There we go. Promised your family about having a wedding as the final chapter, but who I am not going to say because it could be anyone, or some of you probably know who it is, but please do not spoil it for everyone else.
It's fairly obvious, but some people might not know.
Yeah. This was the basis of the first generation English manga, which is produced by Tokyo Pop.
Back when Tokyo Pop was still known as Mix Comics. I had a friend who bought them as they were released, and those Tokyo Pop are known as Mix Comics, and they were produced as graphic novels, which meant they were more heavily edited than normal manga is, and one of the biggest things is that it was flipped so that it was read in the usual Western right-to-left style instead of the original Japanese, or it is read in the Western left-to-right style instead of the original Japanese right-to-left. So all of the illustrations were flipped, and similar edits were made as they did in the American translation of the anime. I think Zoisite was still a man in the graphic novels, but this might be wrong because it's been a very long time since I've read them, but I believe that in the American original graphic novels, Sailor Uranus and Sailor Neptune were not portrayed as being in love. They were like close friends. I don't know if they were cousins, but they were not romantically involved.
According to moonkitty.net, due to the age and popularity, the first generation can be very difficult to find, which is basically like a super ultra rare.
Yes. Considering, by this point they're nearly 15 years old, and of course there's thousands and thousands of Sailor Moon fans who want to get their hand on them, and
and
finding them, much less finding them at an affordable price by any means.
Yeah, because if it's like really, really rare, it's usually really expensive. So, and we are counting the Sailor V comics with this as well.
I'm not sure on the price for the original manga, but I know original runs of the art books and like the materials collection can go for like, if you can find them what is considered cheap at about 125 USD. At least that's what it was when I went looking.
Wow.
So I imagine that the manga are not far behind that, if not being more expensive. So you must be willing to put a lot of savings away if you're going to try to hunt these down.
The only place that you can find it in the moment is on the Japan version of Amazon. But
I'm sure if you wanted to risk it, you could probably go for like eBay or something like that, but no one can vouch for those. No one knows if they're actual, authentic and individual eBay sellers. It'll always be risky.
Yeah, and hopefully be able to translate. But depending on what when you're looking at it from, this is for all of it, by the way, this is from the recommendations of the manga on Amazon Japan, from 529 yen to 1,620 yen, depending on which generation you want to go for. But if you can't read Japanese or can't find a good translation, probably recommend to look around. Like the English, like the normal Amazon might have it, but it's going to be off the roof. So
Yeah.
if like, I agree with Katie on this. If you want to get a classic, you better save up really, really good. So that concludes the merch of the podcast.
All right.
Okay. Now,
All right. And that concludes, for the most part, the meat of the show, the Sailor Moon discussion. We've covered the episodes we've seen so far. We've left some stuff out, but it's going to be addressed in later episodes.
and now we are asking you guys for help.
We have opened up a special email account specifically for the podcast, and we want to hear from you guys. We want to hear what you like, what you don't like, what you want to see more of, any suggestions you have, any recording tips you have, because like I said, we're very new. This is pretty obviously our first podcast-like situation here. So if you have, or if you just have any questions about, what we plan to do, and about anything really, feel free to email us at mooniethoughts@gmail.com, all one word, MOONIethoughts@gmail.com. I have no idea if I spelled that right. I can't spell when I'm talking out loud.
You spelled it right. If we decide to do a Q&A later on, put the subject Moonie Thoughts Q&A, or if you have a topic that you would like us to talk about, then we can do discuss the best topics to be discussed. Put in the subjects Moonie Thoughts topic suggestion.
And we will be checking that email to see what you guys have to say about Moonie Thoughts.
Because this is for you guys. For Moonies by Moonies.
And we want to know what you guys want.
So that concludes the first podcast.
The first podcast.
We should call it Mooncast.
We could.
Yeah. Okay. We could change it to Mooncast then.
We would like to thank moonkitty.net for the use of their original Japanese manga page for information on the manga. And you guys for listening.
Yeah. And also Sailor Moon Wiki.
Yes. We ended up using that.
So the next one will be coming out. Be coming out on the 5th of November. So it's going to be every Wednesday from now on.
Alright.
So I hope you guys enjoy this, and I really hope that you guys support us in this new endeavor for us, and hopefully be able to get contacted by you very soon with your suggestions and feedback.
Yeah, we want to hear from you. So thank you all for listening. Thank you for supporting. Show this to anyone you think you would like it and who wants to hear about Sailor Moon and what's going on in the world of Moonies.
That's right. So until next month, see ya!
Bye.